You can hear the excitement behind me. Oregon State is looking to continue to be unbeaten at home this year, and you can get a sense for why they've been so good at home. This student section behind me. Here we are again under the magnificent lights at Hayward Field, and today we saw some magnificent lights out performances from some of the best female athletes in the world. I've got a very special guest, bronze medalist at these games, Valerie Allman. Valerie, thank you so much for being here. Congrats on the bronze medal.
Thank you.
So obviously a stacked list of competitors in your event, the discus throw. How do you feel about your performance this week? You've been kind of asking questions, you know, what's the shot put like? What's the hammer throw like? So I decided to get some help, take this from the kids zone. This is the exact weight of a women's shot put. Justin Herbert in 2020, Panay Sewell in 2021, and Kayvon Thibodeau last year. Can Christian Gonzalez become the Ducks' 4th top 10 selection in the last 4 years? He certainly didn't hurt his case at the NFL Combine or today's Pro Day. Despite Sheldon's rich history, they haven't taken a state title since 2012. That's even before this guy, Justin Herbert, was the starting quarterback. The NIT can often serve as a springboard for younger guys. It's definitely been the case for center Nate Biddle, who's been filling in for the injured N'Faly Dante in this tournament. Welcome everybody to Reser Stadium, currently walking down the visitors tunnel right now. The last 7 teams to walk down this tunnel have all fallen short to the Oregon State Beavers. They're saying that construction is on schedule to be finished by late May or early June. But let's be honest, there's really only one thing I care about. They need a faster elevator to get up to the press box. I am going to get right on this right away. In honor of tonight's Grammys, I decided to host my own award show. I mean, they let Russell Wilson host the ESPYs one time. It can't be that hard. So without further ado, I present the first annual Trevies. We've talked about Bo Nix. We've talked about Dan Lanning. Now it's time to show the big offensive linemen some love from left to right. TJ Bass, Marcus Harper, Alex Forsyth, Ryan Walk, and Mulasala Amuvai-Laulu have been balling out this year. First, some stats to illustrate that. They've given up just 1 sack in 7 games. That's absurd in just about any context. According to PFF, opponents only pressuring Oregon 19.6% of the time. That means when Bo Nix drops back, he's only stressed about 1 out of every 5 times. Finally, the Ducks churning out over 240 rush yards per game, on par with option schools like Navy. So we've talked about what they've been doing. Now let's show you. We start in the passing game. Note how much time Nix has to make a decision here. 1 Mississippi, 2 Mississippi, 3 Mississippi, 4 Mississippi. I just had like 17 independent thoughts during that play. That's an eternity for a guy as experienced as Nix. Now to the run blocking, something O-linemen love to do more than anything. 4 guys are going to end up blocking one-on-one, including the tight end. Meanwhile, Forsyth and Bass going to pull to the outside. And look at that. You got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 defenders fully accounted for. That creates a gaping hole for Bucky Irving to pick up a nice game. What's the cumulative effect of running the ball that effectively? Well, the defense gets pretty sick of it, and they start to get antsy. So many eyes caught up in the backfield here on the run fake. That helps get Troy Franklin into a one-on-one situation, which is like exactly what you want. That's just pitch and catch for them. They do that every day in practice. Franklin going to score the touchdown, but a lot of that play created by the work the O-line did all game long. And here's what Dan Lanning had to say about that unit today.
There's so many different character traits that really fit that group. Intelligence, toughness, right? Brotherhood, right? They're a close-knit group. There's a high belief. Those guys are willing to be coached, right? So many people shell up when they get coached, right? These guys, they accept coaching and look for opportunities to get better and embrace adversity. So it's exciting to see in a group.
Lanning also gave a ton of credit to offensive line coach Adrian Clem. He said he's not a guy that has to yell a ton to get his point across. Guys just respect his extensive experience as both a player and coach in the NFL. Clearly, his tutelage paying off for the group this year.
There she is. All for the cameras. It doesn't really happen in here. He gave it to me.
In reality, not much has ever been given to Adam Fugit. Getting to the UFC was an uphill battle.
You can't have that feeling you're back against the wall.
And it involved making one of the most difficult decisions of his life.
We're faced with these tough life decisions all the time, not just myself, but anybody.
Before chopping down opponents with his vicious takedowns, Fugit was involved in chopping down wood.
I started working at Roseboro Lumber Company, when I was just before I was 21. And I worked there for 9 years and was competing and working at the same time and juggling both.
While moving up the ranks as an amateur fighter, Fugit also quickly moved up the ranks at his company.
I was in a good spot, you know. I was in supervision, was working my way up that. Controls, ready to work. All right.
But eventually became difficult to balance both.
Told him, you know, when you're here, I need you here. When you're going to fight, go fight. But it's one of those things that I can't have you 1 foot in, 1 foot out.
That was tough, man. It really kind of, I don't know, it definitely brought me to tears knowing that in my gut, that was the right decision. I had to choose one, and I ended up, you know, chasing my dream.
That doesn't mean it was all smooth sailing afterwards.
So I walked away, and a couple months later, I lost my second pro fight. So it definitely had some, like, I don't know, call it buyer's remorse, some doubt, some self-doubt creeping, like, oh, did I make the right decision here?
But Fugit recovered from that defeat, weathered the pandemic, and then impressed the UFC enough to earn a fight on 9 days' notice back in July. He lost that one, but thanks to his valiant effort, he would earn another fight in the UFC. And who was front and center that night?
Let's go, Adam!
Go Adam!
My boss actually showed up at the Apex to surprise me with a ticket and be out there in the crowd, you know, cheering me on and chanting me on. So I really appreciate that.
We wanted to surprise him by having some support in the crowd, and so yeah, it was a great night.
What are you laughing at?
In front of his old boss and his family members in Vegas, Fugit won via first round TKO.
Put your betting odds in. Oh, man.
And that full circle moment served as a reminder that he made the right choice.
Don't run away from that fear, you know. If you got something, if it's that scary, you know, it's probably something worth going after.